You are now listening to the fastest show on iSports Radio. My name is Derek Kinsey Jr. welcoming you, taking a lap of the extra mile for today, February 3rd, 2022. It is so nice to be with you once again this evening. Of course, my co-hosts are also with me. It's a full house this evening with Michael Ward and Christopher Lehman. Gentlemen, welcome.
How's it going tonight?
Hello.
We're going to get into some racing action this evening. Thank you all that just finished listening to our previous show on Wisconsin Sports with Justice McGee. Comes on right before us here on iSports Radio, your feed for all that is sports. We're going to get into some racing now. Of course, we're going to have to start with the Rolex 24. We got the Busch Clash this weekend, first NASCAR race of the season. This one doesn't count. And we're just going to have fun with this one. Cannot wait to break down the format and everything with all of you. But, of course, before we get going, guys, how was your week? I guess we'll start with Chris. We didn't get to hear from you last week. But how you doing? And have you come down from that Bengals football high yet?
I absolutely have not, Daryl, and I do not plan on coming down from it anytime soon. Yeah, what can I say? First time the Bengals have had this type of success in my lifetime. So I am certainly on cloud nine, and I'm just so ready for Super Bowl Sunday that it's hard to focus on anything else. And I'm sure anybody who's been in a similar situation, Rams fan, Bengals fan, we're all just so excited.
I wish we could have the same thing, but hey, at least we have a new name now, and unlike
and some
most of the
new
namesake,
allegations.
Yeah,
new name, new allegations.
Yeah, we're not going to get too far into the allegations because y'all have seen me get on my soapbox. I will definitely get us in trouble with what I have to say about Dan Snyder tonight. But sticking just on the name, it's not that bad, but they botched the rollout. I think the name is fine. If by some miracle we win games, people won't care. So
yeah, it's all about on-field success.
Yep.
They
Michael,
should have.
How have you been?
They should have unveiled.
I've been great. I've been just watching the Rolex 24, and you said what?
Sorry, Chris, didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, it's okay.
Right.
Oh yeah, I've been great. Just watching the Rolex 24, just kind of enjoying life.
Rolex 24 was fun. I guess we can start there, and we're going to go through who your class winners were. But I guess we're going to start at the back and make our way forward, because how good was that GTD battle at the end of that race between Pfaff Motorsports and KCMG?
I gotta say, that was one of the best battles I've seen in a long time.
I think the term for the ages typically gets overused. The game for the ages, the whatever for the ages. But that was a closing sequence for the ages, especially when it comes to motorsports as a whole. Really, I mean, you don't not get that type of action very frequently, especially when you consider the fact over 24 hours, and it was the last lap that comes down to it. Just a crazy lap for the ages.
Everyone talks about the last three laps of that race, and if you didn't see what happened there, the Pfaff Motorsports number 9 Porsche and the KCMG Porsche number 2 in GTD, I believe that was GTD Pro, actually, not GTD Amateur, it was GTD Pro, put on one of the best end of the race fights we have seen. We haven't seen a fight like that since the Corvettes did it a couple of years ago when they set the record for closest finish. And it wasn't just the last three laps. It was the last hour and a half. They were racing each other hard. They were beating on each other. it got to the point race control had to get involved and tell the KCMG Porsche to calm down, which I did not agree with, to be honest. But it was just a great fight at the end of a 24-hour race that has become a sprint in the last couple of years. So it really has just become 10 tenths for 24 hours. Michael, you're lit up here, but we cannot hear you.
I'm sorry, but I can't get over that. They told him to calm down.
Yeah. And I did not agree with that. I mean, you are racing for a Rolex watch on this Daytona chronograph that they get for winning the race that apparently the folks in IMSA can go and buy because of the sponsorship. No one buys the watch. They want to win it.
Yeah.
And you're fighting for one of those watches. As long as you didn't intentionally wreck anybody, let them go. Like, please do not FIA this. And thankfully they didn't.
Yeah, did they get Michael Masi to run this race?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Don't. Too soon.
Not all the lap cars can pass.
Well, we've seen some good news in that regard, though.
Yeah, that situation will clean itself up. But I think that was definitely the best class battle of the season. I think, Michael, that was a great debut for that new category.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what else happens for the rest of the season, because this was a great debut for the category. Yeah. If the racing is like that for the rest of the season, oh man.
Yeah, GTD Pro. We had 35 GTD cars. On the other side of it, though, for Corvette fans like myself, we were absolutely nowhere during the race. And it's unfortunate because the Corvette, of course, is an LM. It's not a GT3. It's a GTE spec car that has been pared down to run in this category. So that car had a lot of issues all day, and really the 3 and the 4, outside of a couple of hours where the 3 actually got to 4th place, it was nowhere. And Michael, I am concerned that for the Corvette fans, it's going to be a hard season as they try to get to grips with running in GT3 spec.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a hard season, judging by their performance in this race. And it's funny because usually at Daytona, they are front and center, but this race, it was hard to watch them.
They were just nowhere. And unfortunately, I mean, they get a month until we get to Sebring and they get to try it again. They'll only have one car there, as their second car will be in WEC spec, as they're going to run the full season with a car there. But it's going to be difficult for them to try and make this car work in GT3. And I think, honestly, Chris, it's a situation where you just do the best you can for the next couple of years until they get that spec-built GT3 car in 2024.
Correct. When you are in rebuild mode or build mode, obviously every bit of feedback you get counts. Every little stride you make, every tenth you gain is it can mean the world to the team, the morale. So when you're, as long as you're going forward, you're speeding up, you're getting a little faster, your handling's getting better, whatever you're striving for. If you're hitting those goals, it makes it a lot easier. And we're going to be seeing that throughout all motorsports this year, really, with all these new cars. It's just one of those things that, you get better as you go forward. So sure, it's going to be a temporary setback for the Corvette guys, all the fanboys. But what you have to look forward to is the fact that you're only going to get better from where you are right now.
We'll see what happens. Of course, we race in Sebring this March. It was a sweep of the GT categories for Porsche. So try to get my results up here. Sorry, as they sweep both the GTD and the GTD Pro categories. We'll jump to DP International. And what a year it's been for Meyer Shank and Helio Castroneves, as Helio gives the team their first Indy 500 win, wins his fourth in May. In January, he wins the Rolex 24 for the second year in a row, won it last year with Wayne Taylor Racing. And there was a question posed on Twitter asking, is Helio Castroneves one of the racing greats? The fact that he's doing all of this at 46 years old, how can you not count him as one of the sport's best all time?
Yeah, honestly. That man is something else. And then it's also crazy because earlier in the race, he actually that car actually had problems.
Mm-hmm.
And he managed to claw his way back up. Then again, it is a 24-hour race, but you still can't really like count him out. It still takes a lot of work and effort to get from, way back where he was to, back to winning for the front.
Yeah, all of the DPI seem to run into some sort of issue during the race. I know the two Cadillacs or Chip Ganassi Racing got hit the hardest. They were nowhere at the end. The 48 of that car is actually run by Action Express, but the 48 of Jimmy Johnson was in, that car also ran into some issues, put it behind the wall during the nighttime. But DPI, it's a Cadillac-heavy category. Those two Acuras, though, they put on a great fight. This will be the last year of Acura versus Cadillac, as we'll have some other teams coming in. Porsche and Audi expected next year in the new GTP category. We may see Toyota and some of the European cars over as well, at least for the endurance events. Of course, Rolex 24 will start before any of their seasons, and since those teams will start their season in Sebring in March, I would not put it past some of those World Endurance Championship hypercars to come and run the Rolex 24. So we could see Toyota take to the track, Peugeot, the Glickenhaus car as well, Bike Holes if they get their stuff together. That GT prototype category at the Rolex 24 is going to be real spicy in 2023. Can't wait. LMP2 was won by Dragon Speed, and it was in LMP3, Riley Motorsports picked up the win there. Wright Motorsports, their Porsche, takes the win in GTD Amateur as first first four cars in that category finish on the lead lap. Was an entertaining race, 761 laps completed by the top class, and the one thing I will say, 61 cars, 35 GTs, a bunch of prototypes, it created severe traffic early in that race, Michael.
Yes, indeed. And one of my favorite shots was looking at the start and seeing all the cars.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was crazy so many cars were on track. It was ridiculous.
One of my favorite shots every time during this race is during the nighttime. They take the helicopter shot, and you see all the headlights of the cars going around.
Oh, yes.
One of my favorite shots in all of motorsports. There were just so many this year because cars didn't really break down. You had cars go out, get into trouble, come back, but for the most part, you had 40 to 50 cars still running at full steam. And Chris, I don't know if you saw any of it, but it's a whole different dynamic than in the 90s where half the cars would be gone before midnight.
Yeah, that's what I was just kind of thinking as you were talking there for a second. If we think back to like Ford versus Ferrari, back in the day when this first started, I mean, these cars wouldn't run for 24 hours, or at least the majority of majority of them wouldn't, and that's what made the sport so unique and drew so much competition, was because it was different manufacturers, different teams saying, can we build a car that can run for 24 continuous hours? And nowadays, I mean, these cars, they're just built in a way that they'll last. And I think we're kind of getting to the point where, for the sake of competition, we need to do something to bring back that aspect of craftsmanship by the team. Making the 24 hours continuous was a great achievement. You didn't even have to win, but if your car ran the whole time, that was something to hang your hat on at the end of the day. And that's, back when the endurance races were first starting for the first couple decades.
LMP2, listening to you speak, it reminds me of LMP2 back in the early 2000s, where that class just used to be a minefield of cars that would just fall apart.
Yeah.
Like, you would get to 6 a.m., you would start 15 of them, 4 of them crashed out, the other 8 went out with reliability issues, and you've got 3 cars, the leader's up by 20 laps, and they're just trying to survive for as long as they can.
And so I think it would just be, and I don't know how they do it. I'm not proposing anything, but getting back to the craftsmanship of the car and the endurance part of the race in terms of mechanics, I just think that would be something worthwhile. And maybe it's something where we do like Formula E. Those cars are, the electronics. Maybe that's where it comes in. Is an endurance race electronically or something? I don't know. I'm just talking now.
I mean, my thing would be make the race longer.
Yeah, but I mean, how long can you really go? You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're pushing it 24 with just the people
for viewership and you're
that
talking
too.
About, it's just, how do you expand it? And maybe it's tighter regulations on stuff for I don't know. Maybe
I think that's our. Go ahead.
I mean,
I think I have an idea.
They could introduce a fuel allotment. Like, hey, you only get X amount of gallons of fuel. Make it last. I mean, I think that's the only way. So then you're trying to balance performance and fuel mileage, or I don't know how you create a new challenge within that race that stays true to the endurance portion of it.
New technology. That's the best way to do it. I mean,
yeah.
And I'll throw this to Michael. The ACO is working on hydrogen regulations right now because they're going to switch the cars over to hydrogen, at least in the top category. I think you got to start filtering that stuff down in the LMP2 and the GTD ranks, because that's going to be the next endurance challenge. Can you make a hydrogen-powered car run for 24 hours without issues? Because that's a fuel source we haven't used before. And that's a whole nother set of gremlins that people are going to have to figure out. And if you're going to get back to the endurance part of endurance racing, not to say these 24-hour sprints aren't entertaining. They are. I mean, I enjoyed it. But if we want to get back to the spirit of an endurance race, you got to give these teams a new technology to test and work out and see if they can make it last 24 hours.
Yep. I mean, it'll be fun to see, and it'll be great to see these engineers try to do something like that,
It'll be fun. I love sports car racing so much. The different classes, the traffic, the strategy with the driver changes, and who double stints tires and how they do everything. It's an exciting form of motorsport where you're thinking the entire time, and it's a lot of fun. We get back to it in March with WEC and also the WeatherTech IMSA Sports Car I don't know what's going on in my brain today, but the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. They'll get back to it in March. Cannot wait. But we are going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back after this. But, of course, we're going to thank our sponsors, including the Southern California Warriors semi-pro football team. The world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organizations. Players pay to play in hopes of so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get film, to try out for professional teams, big-time colleges, or just to stay in shape. No matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. The Southern California Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players second chances since 2017. Whether you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance. If you love your sport, you may get the second chance you have been waiting for as an athlete. Follow them on Twitter at SoCal Warriors, Instagram at Southern California _Warriors, and Facebook at Southern California Warriors. We'll be right back after this here on the Extra Mile on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, everybody? This is Taryn Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Attention, all sports fans! If you're someone who wakes up each morning with lists of sporting events to go along with your to-do list for the day, then you just might be a diehard. The world of sports is as vast as the ocean is deep, including the major leagues, the minor leagues, the college, and everything in between. This is me, your boy Larry B of IE Sports Radio, welcoming you to join me every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on The Defining Moment, a show that focuses on what really matters in the sports world, sports themselves, and nothing outside of them. Once again, tune in for The Defining Moment with me, your boy Larry B, every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on IE Sports Radio, right here on Spreaker.com. We'll see you there.
To the Soccer Scoreboard Show with your host, Gabriel Montoya. This is the show for soccer, football fans, or whatever you call the beautiful game. Every week, I tackle the latest and greatest news from around the soccer world. From the English Premier League, to the World Cup, to MLS, Liga MX, and more. You can listen to the Soccer Scoreboard Show and our lineup of fantastic guests every Friday at noon here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Well, folks, businesses, if you're trying to bring a new hire on, let Kit Freeman take care of that for you. Kit has founded and has managed Background Check International since 1994, and he's here to help you with the screening process. Contact Kit and let him help make the hiring process that much easier. This business is used for professional background checks and not for the use of any crimes such as identity theft or any other illegal activity. Check him out on social media at Background Check International, BCI on Facebook, and check out his website, bcint.com. So we're back here on the Extra Mile on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. This is the Extra Mile. Daryl, Michael, and Chris with you this evening, and we've been talking during the break about an unfortunate incident that happened at the Formula E Rida E-Prix that happened in Saudi Arabia. Again, a safety car with heavy equipment on the track. Late in the race on Saturday, Robin Friends' car crashed, and as they were trying to bring the car off the course, a JCB tractor that was lifting the car up got stuck on the race course, which provided a horrifying visual of Friends' car being lifted up off the track and suspended in air as the rest of the Formula E field streamed underneath the stricken race car that was suspended in midair. Now, this drew swift condemnation on Twitter, with many people bringing up parallels to what happened to Jules Bianchi back in 2014. Now, the FIA gave a reason as to how the tractor got stuck in the first place in a race that ended up ending under the safety car. But, Chris, it's not that long ago since we lost an F1 driver to an incident like this. And it just feels like over the last couple of years, the FIA has continued to get it wrong when it comes to machinery being on track.
Yeah, it's. I mean, like we said on the break, we've got a lot of issues with the FIA for a lot of things that we've beat that dead horse. But overall, I think that and not even looking at equipment, but just safety as a whole, the FIA, it seems like the past year really has taken a step backwards, I would say. There were a lot of issues, most notably, where were we?
I mean, there was a lot.
Right. And just to bring that point home, how come that when I stumble, we have 1,000 different, we got 20 races to choose from where something happened, right?
That's a good point. That's a very
why,
good point.
If I say oh, what happened, I would expect you guys to say oh yeah, that was an anomaly. It happened at this track, right?
Yeah.
But that's just not how it went. And I don't even know what I was trying to say, but that's it. The FIA just does not care about safety at this point. And I mean, that's just the brass tacks. It
look
doesn't
at Spa.
like they care.
Look at Spa when they tried to start that farce of a race.
And that's exactly what I was trying to think of with Spa. Specifically qualifying when, who was it, took a nasty wreck.
It was Williams. It was one of the Williams cars. I think it was Russell, wasn't it?
No, I didn't think so.
No, it wasn't Russell. It was Russell ended up there. It was.
I know that.
I know what happened. I cannot pull the car.
Lando. Lando takes a nasty wreck, despite the fact that everybody on track said red flag. Yep. Your drivers are telling you red flag. And I know that this is a completely different scenario, but it just goes to the fact that when safety is expressed as a concern, it does not matter.
It doesn't.
The show must go on.
We just lost somebody at that corner a couple of years ago in Formula 2.
Yeah.
Different circumstance. I mean, that was just a 1 in a million incident that happened, but at the same time, we know how dangerous Eau Rouge and Radillon is at Spa. And if it's raining to the point the drivers are saying, hey, let's not race, you've got to listen to them. We've got to listen to the drivers on safety matters. I don't know what's going on with the FIA when it comes to this, and I don't want to make this the anti-FIA show. I promise you, that's not what we're trying to do. But it just felt like, definitely last year when we were watching Formula 1, every other week we had a new issue with the officiating, to the point we had to come back after the season was ending and ended on this show to talk about the officiating before Abu Dhabi happened. So,
in which case we could have done another show after that.
I spared us getting our show taken down. I was not in a good mood that whole week, by the way.
We know.
Lord have mercy, that would not have been a good show. But I don't know how to get it through the FIA. We're making the same mistakes, and we're going to kill somebody again.
Yeah. And that's the thing is it's at this point, and I hate to say it, it's just a matter of time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not if, it's when.
Yeah. Michael, did you see what happened when it came to the Formula E race?
Oh, you mean how it was a cluster effort?
Yeah, I mean that too, but especially the incident we're talking about with the car hanging above the racetrack with the rest of the cars that are still running going under it.
Oh yeah, no, that should have been a safety car.
I mean, it should have been a red flag. I mean, God forbid that strap breaks.
Yeah.
And that car lands on top of somebody's head. Like, oh my goodness. I feel like we're going to have a lot of conversation about the FIA this year that's just not going to be beneficial, other than they've got a lot to think about safety-wise. We'll see if they take any of it under advisement. But hey, let's talk about something a lot more exciting. We have NASCAR this week.
Yes, we do.
Oh, I'm so excited. The Clash is going to be held in the LA Coliseum this Saturday and Sunday. We'll have practice and qualifying at 12:30 Eastern and 8:30 Eastern. 3 groups of cars will go out for practice. 3 groups of 12 at the quarter of a mile oval there inside the LA Coliseum. The cars will go out for 3 8-minute sessions to get ready for qualifying later that day. And then Sunday, we go racing. Heat races will determine the 23-car field. They'll be run on Sunday evening. And guys, I've heard a lot of conversation all over the place about where people's excitement level for this race is. Where's your excitement level? How excited are you for the Clash?
I'm at probably like a 4, if I'm being completely honest with myself and with everybody else.
Like a 4 out of 5 or like a 4 out of 10?
Like a 4 out of 10.
Oh, really? Wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I don't mean that to be in a bad way, but from where I sit, this is how I see this. So, as we all know, there are supply chain issues across the board.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I've heard is these teams do not have the parts they need to complete their cars. They don't have multiple cars built. So what we're going to see is a boring lack of action. It's not going to be a fun-filled, thrilling race. It's going to be very conservative, feeling the cars out. No, that's fine. Feeling the cars out. And there might be a little bit bumping and banging every now and then, but there's going to be nothing overly serious when it comes to action and fighting for a win, because at the end of the day, these guys are not going to want to tear up their equipment for a win that virtually means nothing. It's some bragging rights for a year, but that's really all you're winning when you win the Busch Clash. A little bit of prestige, but is winning the Busch Clash worth ruining one of your few functional cars? And I don't think it's going to be. I think whoever qualifies top 8 to 10 is going to win this race. It's a very small track. Passing looks incredibly difficult. And yeah, I just don't see it being a very fun race, but I'm excited about the venue. I think they did a great job trying to capture a new market. And I'm excited to see the new car on the track. I just don't think that people are going to view tearing up their equipment is worth winning the Busch Clash.
I'm at a 7, but part of that is it's a NASCAR race, and I'm always excited for a NASCAR race. So I don't know how much of that you want to play into that as bias or whatever for those listening at home. I am concerned about those supply chain issues, although I don't know if the crash damage is going to be as severe as a thought, because everyone's got their Daytona 500 car ready and this one. And the top speed at this race is only going to be like 60 miles an hour. So if they do hit the wall, it won't be that bad as far as damage. And we've seen, even in testing, with how everything is with the new composite bodies and how the front clips just detach. You can attach a new one quickly. I think whatever bumps and bruises you get from this race, provided you've already got the stuff, will be repaired quickly. I'm more concerned, Chris, about what you said about in a couple of weeks at the Daytona 500. That's the race I'm concerned about, because we know how that gets in the last couple of years, especially when we get down to the second half. So I'm not really worried about these guys bunching up or wadding up a bunch of cars at a short track. What I am concerned about is piling half the field into the turn 3 wall coming to the checkered flag of the Daytona 500, and what that's going to do for the supply chain. I think that's where we're going to see these teams get hurt.
Absolutely, you are right. It's just, and not to, pull back, but 60 miles an hour can still do a lot of damage to a car. Yeah. You can break a lot of components doing that, which is part of why I feel that we won't get, what I would consider like a Bristol night race or Martinsville night race-esque type of race. This is not going to be your typical short track race, but you were absolutely right, and I'm sure that teams have anticipated their needs after Daytona, and they've probably more or less already ordered whole new cars to be built, because they're going to have to scrap the ones that they have.
Yeah, there's going to be some cars heading to Junior's graveyard after this.
Yeah, I bet you he'll take some of these next gens. It'll be interesting.
Yep. Michael, where's your excitement level?
I guess about a 7 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Because, NASCAR's back, racing's back, whole new track, whole new car. It's just exciting me.
It's going to be fun. I think that with all the pageantry that they're putting into this, with the concerts and the caution flag, DJ and everything, they're really turning it into an event, which, if you're going to have a race in downtown LA right before the Super Bowl, you go big, and this is exactly what they need to do. I have no problems with all the stuff they're going to try to have here. I do want to see a good race. I have no idea who's going to win it. I don't think it matters, as long as, we're entertained at the end. But the thing I am the most excited about is seeing the next gen car on track and getting to see a bunch of these things all painted up in their colors going at anger. This is a really good looking race car. And NASCAR's had a dearth of good looking race cars, COT, I will die on the hill that the COT was a good race car. But the winged version was ugly.
I agree, and you look at drivers like I'm pretty sure Kyle Busch has said the COT was a difficult car to drive, which made it fun and entertaining, but by no means was it you just mash the gas pedal for 4 hours until they wave the checkered flag, and that's what we need to get back to, is the skill, letting off the throttle. So I'm excited to see what this car brings, and it just looks good.
And having the 670 horsepower with the 4-inch spoiler at all tracks is going to get us away from that mash the gas for 4 hours racing. This is going to be a tough car. And Michael, we've seen it on Twitter. Folks want the top level car to be the toughest to drive. I think this car is going to deliver.
Oh yeah, hopefully it does. I think this car is going to change the game a little bit here.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be fun. I'm wondering, I like that. The big motor, small blade folks got their wish.
Yes, they did.
The mile and a halves are going to be a lot better. I think the road courses are going to be terrific because it's just going to drive like a GT4 car. Short tracks are short tracks. The super speedway racing, people will love it or hate it. There is no in between. We'll see how it goes. But I think we're in for, they call it last season the potential to be the best season ever. I think this season might supplant it as the best season ever. I think we're going to see some really good racing, and I can't wait for it to get started.
I can't either.
Yeah. But one of the big news stories though that broke this week, which came out of the that was weird category. Floyd Mayweather getting into NASCAR. The money team thing is actually happening.
I think when I see that car in the middle of the pack at Daytona, I still won't believe that that's real.
I won't either.
To say it's a long time coming, it's an understatement.
I'm like, Floyd Mayweather is really out here.
What was this, leaked in 2020, I think this went back to?
Yeah, I think it was 2020. And then,
because they were supposed to run at Homestead. That never came through.
And then it was Daytona.
Yeah, then that never happened. And there were like rumblings that something was going on. And then they buy what's left of Starcom and put this team together. My one thought was, why would they wait until the Starcom charter was sold to 2311 to jump in now? Is my question.
No idea.
Couldn't answer that.
Yeah, it's weird. Kaz Grala is going to drive that car at Daytona. What are our realistic expectations for this team?
I have none.
Yeah, none. I mean, they're only part-time, right?
Yeah, they're only running a part-time schedule anyway.
I think if I was them, my goal is to finish every week with an intact car. It is really, if we can go to race day, finish the race, not have damage to replace, then overall I'd consider that a victory, and we can work on the car throughout the year instead of working on fixing it.
Yeah, Tony Uri Sr. will be a part of that team as the crew chief.
Okay, so my expectations went up a touch.
Yeah, as soon as I heard that name, I'm like, okay, maybe.
I mean, I'm not expecting wins out of this team. I'm not even expecting top 10s out of this team. Just finish on the lead lap. That's all I want.
If you can finish top 30, somewhere close to 30, 25 to 30, if you can finish right there, then that is exceeding my expectation.
Yeah, baby steps for a new team like this, especially
part-time.
Yeah, part-time. You're not running the full season anyway. Just baby steps. There's going to be a new sponsor for Trackhouse going into the LA Coliseum. Howler Head, it's some sort of alcoholic beverage that UFC president Dana White is a part. What? That is going to be, I believe, on Ross Chastain's car, the one.
Yes.
Trackhouse
has a new booze sponsor this year too.
Really?
Yeah, like a hard seltzer.
Yeah. I have one question. Can Team Trackhouse miss on their paint schemes just once?
No.
They can't miss on anything, to be completely honest with you. And I think this year they snag some wins. My guess is I'm going to put down 2 wins for Trackhouse this year. That's my hot take.
I've got 2 wins for Trackhouse and 2 wins for 2311.
Yeah, that sounds realistic. Yeah.
And I've got Bubba winning one of those on merit. I mean, him and Booty Barker got together. That car went up. Unfortunately, they had some issues, not of their own making, at Texas and Homestead at the end of the year. But, or not Homestead, sorry, Phoenix. But when that car ran, they were in top 10, top 5 position. So I think Bubba and Booty are going to have a wonderful season together. Kurt Busch will always be in the conversation to at least get 1 win, even at this advanced age of his career. And he's going to be a good veteran presence for Bubba, who's only 28. I feel like we've been talking about him forever, but he's only 28. He is nowhere near his prime. So that's a good veteran presence for someone like him to help Bubba get to the next level.
And not only is Bubba not in his prime, he is on a team that is not in their prime. They're going to get better year after year. And I mean, I think the 2 to 4 win should be their goal this year.
Yeah. They
don't need to focus on making a deep playoff run this year. You just 2 to 4 wins. If your 2 drivers can each get 2 wins, I would consider that a successful year for them. Anything above that is exceeding expectations, but I think that Bubba has it in him, especially with plate tracks and short tracks where he has had success in other series. I'd say 2 to 4 wins for that organization should be 2 minimum. 4 would be expected.
I mean, we get to talk about 2 Bubba Wallace wins in the same year. I'm going to be over the moon. We talk about anything other than 2. Lord have mercy. I might do backflips here in the Zoom.
That's how it was for me with Bowman.
Yeah.
That's how I felt about Bowman this year.
Yep.
Well, last year now, but
I was Bowman went off last year with the wins, and he had the sneakiest 4-win season I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yep. He would chill out and then all of a sudden come up and snag a win that you weren't expecting.
Out of nowhere.
Yep. I think he'll do better this year. I think that 4-win target, I think it's got to be the goal for Bowman again next year.
Yeah. Yep. I saw someone on Twitter, and Twitter is Twitter, but they had put that 2311 was going to win 8 races this year, and Bubba was going to win like 6 of them. And people were like, there's being optimistic, and then there's this.
6 wins for Bubba Wallace.
Correct. Yeah. And 8 wins for 2311.
Look, I'm a Bubba Wallace homer. Y'all know me by now. Even I'm not saying 6 wins. Like, that's Kyle Larson level of domination. He picks up 6 wins this season. I'm not going to complain. I don't see it happening. And that's not a slight against Bubba. It's a year 2 team with a new car. So,
and I mean, you have some of the best talent that's ever been in NASCAR racing right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you can win 3 or 4 races in a year against your competition, you have proven your place.
I mean, if you even get 1 at this point, you're doing something. It's the deepest field, talent-wise, this sport has ever seen. You know, you're not going to have somebody. What Kyle Larson did last year to this field was absolutely brutal. Unbelievable. We're not going to see that again.
Not by anybody but him, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not Larson, nobody else is going to do that. I mean, this is the deepest field we've ever seen. We've got about 6 champions now, counting Larson, on the grid. I mean, it's going to be a tough season. You've got 6 champions. You've got
4
at least
ball
15
time.
drivers that can get a win. It's going to be difficult.
There's 3 drivers right now with more than 1 championship, or is it 4?
Don't make me
I think
do
it's
math.
3 because Logano's only got 1.
Yeah, Logano's only got 1. Busch has 2. Harvick has a couple.
Keselowski
Keselowski just has the 1.
Oh, so he's got 1.
Yeah.
So Chase, Larson, Keselowski, Elliott all have 1.
Yep.
Busch, Harvick,
Kyle Busch has 2. And Harvick
Truex,
also has 2.
Truex.
Yeah, Truex has 2 as well.
Yeah.
So you've got 3 multiple-time champions.
Yeah.
And 6. I think I said 6. It might actually be 7 overall.
Yeah.
That is a tough field for anybody to come into and try to get wins. It just is.
Yep.
Like, you're not going to come in. And Michael, we saw this when it's not like with Formula One where we had 4 world champions on the grid, but, only 1 or 2 of them are going to get a chance to win. You've got 7 Cup Series champions, and all of them are still in their prime and can win races.
Yep. That's really
Maybe
still
not
anybody's
Harvick.
game. Ouch.
I'm not counting Harvick out yet. I think that was more of
No.
an SHR aberration.
Correct. We'll see this year.
Yeah, this year is going to be the proof of that.
Now, just out of curiosity, do you guys think that Harvick will Tom Brady his retirement? No goodbye tour. He's just gonna, at the end of whatever year he's done, he's just gonna be like, all right, deuces. Or do you
Probably.
think he'll do a goodbye tour?
I don't think he's going to do a goodbye tour. It just feels like he's going to be like, all right, I'm going to go watch my son and daughter race now.
Yeah. It's crazy to think that, I mean, obviously we're motorsports, but one of the true all-time GOATs of sports is retired.
I remember watching his first Super Bowl.
Yeah.
When he went against the greatest show on turf and they beat him.
Yeah.
I remember that game. I was rooting for the Rams. I was not happy, but I did not expect Tom Brady, a 6th round pick that came out and just come out of nowhere and straight dominate the league for as long as he did.
Yep.
And we're watching here with NASCAR. I remember when Harvick started that same year, 2001.
Yeah.
Vastly different circumstances to Tom Brady. I mean, they're similar, but completely different at the same time because they both took over for a legend. But the difference is Drew Bledsoe is still with us. Dale Earnhardt is not.
Yes.
And they had to come through that traumatic event and make something of themselves. And both of them have had Hall of Fame careers. Now, Harvick may not be named as one of the GOATs of the sport, but he's going in the Hall of Fame. Tom Brady is the new standard of quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
I begrudgingly say, he is the new gold standard that every quarterback that comes up will be measured by.
Yeah.
And what I say to anyone, and then we've got to get ready to close out, but cherish these greats when you have them.
Yeah.
Because
definitely.
you're not going to see talent like this every year. Lewis Hamilton in Formula One, Steve Torrance right now in NHRA, whatever Kyle Larson is about to become.
Kyle Busch,
even though I'm starting to turn the corner on him somehow.
You can not like him for his personality, but you have to respect the talent.
Yeah, you have to. Even though I don't like
the greatest
the
driver
Japanese
until
Xfinity
he
Series
starts
that much.
talking.
Correct. And yeah, I mean, just, and it's not even just motorsports across sports in general. Steph Curry, LeBron. I mean, you just have. It's a crazy time to be alive for sports right now.
Shohei Ohtani in baseball, if we get that season started this year. He's
the
doing
Williams
stuff.
Sisters,
The Williams
Tiger.
This is a
Tiger.
Williams sisters house over here, so you ain't got to tell me.
But you know what I mean, though. We are just living through like a gold standard era of sports right now.
We've seen so many GOATs come through these sports, and It doesn't matter who's the greatest of all time, who's the greatest athlete. Just cherish what you're seeing.
Yep.
Because they're going to be gone. They're going to be retired, and all we're going to have eventually is
the young guns. Yep. And these young guns, whippersnappers coming up to try to challenge their legacies, and it'll be fun watching that too.
We want to thank all of you for listening to the Goats of Podcasting right here, the three of us, on the Extra Mile here for this evening. And folks, for the last 7.5 years, iSports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities across the country. All the while, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans. So with your help, we're ready to take that next step. When you go to our website, iSportsRadio.com, you'll see a link to our Patreon, which has 5 different tiers. The first one, starting at $5 a month, will get you a donation shout-out on all 32 of our shows, and higher tiers include free iSports Radio merchandise, access to our podcasting university, and a chance to be on our flagship show, The Defining Moment, with Mr. Larry B., who just had a birthday this week. So happy birthday to the boss man. And thank you all so much for continuing to make iSports Radio your rec feed for all that is sports. And of course, we are all on Twitter. I'm at DK Jr. 12. Chris is at Fiji Sims. Michael's at Michael_Ward25. Hit us up during the week and check out all of our shows on the iSports Radio show page and also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, our social medias, and of course the website. And if you missed any episode of any iSports Radio show, check it out wherever you can hear podcasts, including on YouTube, where we have a repository of every show that has ever been put out. And before we go, Formula One car reveals are starting tomorrow with Haas. What car are you guys most excited to see?
Of course, I'm going to say Ferrari. Definitely excited for the Red Bull. I'm excited for all of them, to be honest with you.
Absolutely. It's with the new car. It's going to be fun to see what everybody's come up with, how to change their liveries to match what their new car is going to look like. I'm excited for all of them, but especially Red Bull, obviously, and seeing Max don the number 1. But if I had to pick a second, I think probably Mercedes, just to see what they go with. Are they going to revert back to mid 2010s, or are they going to stick with the most recent liveries that they've been running? I haven't heard anything on it.
I would like for them to go back to silver, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I've heard some conflicting things about it.
I think they are supposed to go back to silver, but we'll find out. I want to see what Haas has been working on, because they punted last year.
Yeah.
They were supposed to see their car this year. It better be good. It better run well.
Yeah, somebody's got some real questions to answer if this thing is even, I'd say if they are less than 6th on the grid, somebody's getting fired.
Yeah, somebody's getting fired. And it's probably going to be Gunter Steiner who's going to be the first to go. But
yeah.
Hey, you can watch the Clash on Sunday on Fox all day. Practice will be on FS2. FS1 will be qualifying on Saturday. Enjoy it. We're out of here for this week. We will see you guys in the next green flag. This has been The Extra Mile. Have a wonderful weekend.